All right. The good, the bad, the ugly. The Brooklyn Nets, 44-38. Man, the theme for this one is, man, I got a headache, bro. I got a headache. All right. The good. The good has to be Bruce Brown and Cam Thomas and getting first round picks in that James Harden trade. So Bruce Brown, he was a tremendous fit with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving for long portions of the season. He's 6'3", so a little bit undersized, but he showed the willingness to guard bigger wings. He did a solid job about that. He shot a career high 40% from three. He was a reliable shooter and he was a reliable playmaker in situations where KD and Kyrie got trapped. So I believe he's eligible for a contract this season. I think they definitely have to keep him. Cam Thomas was a rookie who became a really reliable scorer. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually becomes like a Jordan Clarkson, Jamal Crawford type of sixth man of the year scorer off the bench. Really stood out in a comeback victory that the Nets had versus the Knicks on ESPN in February. But unfortunately, Steve Nash didn't play him in the playoffs, which I didn't really understand because they just needed people and they needed people to score. But hopefully he's someone that can build on those situations that I mentioned and become a better player. Then also, like I said, the 2 first-round picks that Brooklyn got in the James Harden trade. I think that we're going to be talking about it, but it might be DEFCON 4 or DEFCON 1, whatever the most serious DEFCON is. And to get out of that situation, you're going to need picks to replenish your cupboard. And James Harden, after initially saying that the Nets were, robbed, were fleeced, they knew something I did, man. James Harden, he looked terrible out there, out of shape. He has the world's longest hamstring injury. I mean, they got Ben Simmons back from it, but Ben Simmons is younger and maybe eventually he gets over his mental health issues. And if he does, he's going to be a really good player for them. And if he doesn't, or if it doesn't work out for them there, they can still trade him and maybe get decent value. So that is the good. The bad has to be Kevin Durant. His injury history and his play in the playoffs versus Boston has to be really concerning. And, I heard a lot of talk when it happened. Boston's a historical defense. I've never seen a defense as good. Giannis then killed them. Jimmy then flamed them. And Wardell, Steph Curry, filleted them. So everybody was getting off versus Boston except KD. That has to be concerning. That has to be concerning if you are a Nets fan. This is not a young player. This is someone that's supposed to be in the square middle or tail end of his prime, and he got bullied. Couple this with him missing a huge portion of the season again due to injury, the fact that he's 33, this might be a sign of the slowdown. I think people haven't messed up as far as players aging because you watch a LeBron, you watch a Tom Brady, you think, hey, this is just the new normal now. But there are going to be some people who still age like milk. And I'm not saying that that's KD, but make it make sense that he could be in the best player of the league conversations and get totally bullied and locked up by a Boston team that Giannis dominated, Jimmy flamed, and Wardell Steph Curry filleted. Make it make sense. The ugly has to be Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. So Simmons, before I get into the Kyrie, you had Ben Simmons, he made a big spectacle about, hey, I'm wrapping up to play, completely peacocked on the sidelines with his, sunglasses indoors, his outrageous outfit. And, asked the NBA reporter to post a video of him dunking. And then not too long after, he can't play. And, he had surgery on his back. So, maybe there was an issue with his back. Obviously, I don't think he would do a surgery to his back if he didn't need it. But, to trade for a player that's going to be an impact player and him not to play at all, I mean, I think that's got to hurt. And we'll see what happens next season. You know, he mentioned at the end that his back problems are physical, but it's also mental. You know, you're doing this playing for the Nets in New York, one of the harshest marches to play in. You're playing in a conference where you have to play Boston. We have to play the Knicks, you know, the Sixers, you know, not the nicest people in the world when it comes to NBA fans. So, you know, I think you have to be worried. And then let's get into Kyrie Irving. You know, this is the third straight season, as I said multiple times, that Kyrie Irving has found a reason other than injury to miss basketball games. And it's getting to the point now, can you trust him to play going forward? And I think the Nets have the same dilemma, and we'll talk about that more. But, you know, it seems like, you know, he's just going to beat to the sound of his own drum. He's doing whatever he wants to do. And if playing basketball is what he feels like doing in that moment, that's great. If not, okay, he feels no responsibility to anyone. You know, and it reminds me of this quote that I heard in Game of Thrones.
It's hard to put a leash on a dog once you've put a crown on its head.
You know, a lot of the people who are upset about the way that Kyrie behaves enabled his behavior when he was playing with LeBron. When he left LeBron, a lot of people who do not like LeBron said, oh, why you chased him out? He's the guy that made that last second shot. You know, he's just as good or just as valuable as you, or he's this superstar in a different, you know, stratosphere. And I think a lot of that's gone to his head. And it's just like, who are you guys to tell me anything? Remember, I'm the one that made that shot. Remember? So the ugly is having a superstar, two superstar players who, for various different reasons, choose not to play. So the off season, you know, like I said, things are gone DEFCON 4, DEFCON 1. I don't know which one is worse. The GM came out and said, we need people who want to be here, who are selfless, who want to be something bigger than themselves. I'm trying to kick that shit you need to learn, though. That ether, that shit that make your soul burn slow. That was ether for Kyrie. That was directly at him. I'm, you know, independent thinker. No. We need people who want to be here to play basketball, who want to be something bigger than themselves. Remember, Kyrie did not take the vaccine this year, not because he didn't think he should. He said other people don't, and I want to be the voice for the voiceless. You know, another crazy thing about that is Kyrie Irving wasn't alone at the start of the season being skeptical about taking the vaccine. You remember who else was? Andrew Wiggins. Remember that? That seemed like so long ago. Andrew Wiggins went down to the clock and he did it. And this season couldn't have turned out better for Andrew Wiggins. And this season couldn't have turned out worse for Kyrie Irving. That's just some food for thought. But back to Kyrie. So, you know, Kyrie has been upset about, you know, the things going on with the Nets and their unwillingness to offer him a full max. So he's put it out there. I might just opt out of the contract and sign for the Lakers for $6 million. And he's giving the Nets a list of teams that he would accept and assign in trade. So there's two options here. All right. You can pay Kyrie what he wants, because if you don't do that, KD will ask to leave. And you're going to be throwing away all the picks that you traded away to Houston to get Harden, and paying over $100 million in luxury tax this year, and you won't have anything to show for it but an Eastern Conference semi-finalist. They never went to the conference finals. They lost in the Eastern Conference semis, and KD's foot was, if it was just a couple inches back, they would have won. You know, I'm sure you've heard that. But so, you know, most people are saying you got to pay him. You bring back KD. You bring back Ben Simmons, you bring back Joe Harris, who was hurt, and you hope for the best. I don't choose that.
Order your man to step aside, or there will be violence.
I choose violence.
I choose violence. I'm not paying Kyrie a max deal without heavy protections. Once again, he said not that he disagreed with it, that other people did. I want to be the voice for the voiceless. You could be the voice for the voiceless on so many different issues. What's to say that he's not going to do the same shenanigan next year? What's to say that Kyrie Irving in the middle of the season next year says, you know what, I'm done playing basketball, I'm retiring, or I demand a trade? Would you put it past him? Bill Simmons has this thing called the Tyson zone, that it got to a point where someone could tell you anything about Tyson and you would believe it. Kyrie Irving's in the Tyson zone for me. If Kyrie Irving said, you know what, I'm going to go join a gaggle of monks that are going to meditate, and I'm going to miss, half of the season, or I'm going to take all of 2022, 2023 off, and I'll see you guys in 2024, that would not shock me at all. How can you pay someone that money and you cannot count on them at all? So the people that disagree with saying, okay, if you don't pay him, you're going to lose KD. So, KD that asked the Nets to play DeAndre Jordan over Jared Allen. That KD, that's the one guy I'm going to lose. That KD that wanted Steve Nash instead of a Kenny Atkinson, who has been a Coach of the Year candidate. Steve Nash, whose playoff adjustments is, instead of playing KD 44 minutes a game, I'm going to play him 48 minutes a game. That's my playoff adjustment. You mean the KD that made the Nets trade for James Harden, removing all of our depth, all of our options? That KD? You mean the KD that got swept in the playoffs this year? You mean the KD that struggled versus the Celtics after Jimmy, Giannis, and Steph flamed them? You mean KD that's going to be 34 next year? I have to do all this to please him, and the most that I have to show for it is conference semifinals? Say what you want about LeBron and him being high maintenance and him wanting to control the rosters. At least that gets you finals appearance. That's what it gets you. When I'm on a team, we going to the finals. For sure. When I'm on a team, my team has been to the finals. Whether it's the first iteration of Cleveland, whether it's a Miami Heat, second Cleveland iteration, or the Lakers. If I come to your team, we're going to go to the finals in my run. For sure. You can't say that with KD. So at this point, if you're Joe Tsai and a billionaire, you've grinded and you hustled, you're Sean Marks, and you created a team out of the ashes of the KG and Paul Pierce trade, created a playoff team, only to see that team blown apart and turned up by these guys, and now a guy that doesn't even play all the time is asking you for a max contract. After a while, you feel like, man, you bullying me, fam. What you think, I'm a punk? Y'all think I'm soft? I'm just going to give y'all whatever y'all want. We're not getting to the finals. We getting swept. Y'all both was healthy. We got swept. And I got to pay over $100 million in tax for this? Nah, I'm out. Cash me out. I'm done. So you got to know when to hold them. I fold them. I'm out. Y'all go. And it's not like people who are bringing up the scenario are acting like the Nets are going to leave the situation empty-handed. Trade them. Put them on the market. Trade them. Let's move on. Trade them. We're not winning the title with these guys. They don't even want to play. Kyrie is offended that we're asking for protections for you just to play. And Katie, you backing that up? You frontlining that? You standing on that? Oh, y'all both can go then. Y'all both can go. All right, so listen, I know people are like, okay, you're being hyperbolic, so let me just act. Okay, so say if they went the other route. It looks like, NBA GMs, they always play things safe. So they'll go the other way and they want to keep the team together. The first thing that they have to do is address the big man situation. Nick Claxton shot 3 from 21 from the free throw line in a 4-game series. I mean, I think that's just unacceptable. Andrew Drummond was unplayable. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge look like they're cooked. So that's a position they need to fix. Isaiah Hartman signed, who was on the Clippers as a free agent. I love this kid. Love this kid. I think he's going to be a really good center. Moves really fluidly, finishes around the rim, solid rim protection. I think that they definitely need to invest in him, and I would definitely play the tax player mid-level for him. When it comes to Ben Simmons, I think that they need to think about trading him. Maybe a package like Harrison Barnes and Rashard Holmes, one of my favorite packages in the league, but I think that will be beneficial to both teams. You get some size for the Kings, size for the Nets and Rashard Holmes and Harrison Barnes. And the Kings, you have a Ben Simmons, a player that they were interested in pairing with Fox previously. I don't know how that's going to work, but that's what they wanted. So, you can look at that. Then two other trades I think that they definitely need to make if they're going to keep this team together is then you need to take Kyrie out of the ball handling position. He cannot be your primary ball handler. The version of the Nets that was such a juggernaut that we never really got to see play, them at their apotheosis, was Kyrie Irving at the 2, Harden at the 1. So maybe, looking at a trade to bring in Brogdon. He's someone that's been made available. Maybe Miles Turner, that's something that I would look into, bringing maybe both of those guys in to the fold. Bruce Brown, they have his bird rights. I think they, like I said earlier, they definitely should match. They definitely have to match it. And I know that you probably heard what I said about Kyrie being the primary ball handler. You're probably pushing back on that. But, Chauncey Billups said that he said this during the season and it went under the radar that Kyrie Irving is the most skilled point guard that's ever played in the league. And none of the NBA veterans pushed back at him. None of the old school players, that you cannot deny his talent. So if you think about that and think about the fact that he did not make an NBA top 75 team, and he's never on anyone's list as a top 10 player, how could that be? And it's because he lacks decision-making on and off the court. And I think you need to take him out of that position. These playoff games, turnovers, bad shots, they kill you. It's what killed Boston. So I think you need to put someone in a position that can really handle the ball and make proper decisions. And then lastly, Boston, like I said, their physicality exposed them to a certain extent. I've heard them as a Gobert team. That's something that's interesting. I don't know if they could make that work, but that would be something that's interesting to me. So, Gobert, part of his reason for his fallout with Donovan Mitchell is that he thought that he was missed on the rolls and he wanted the ball more. And KD and Kyrie are not really pick and roll lob throwers, but I think maybe on a team where he can definitely win with the spotlight on him all the time, where he doesn't have to be weird and say stupid shit like screen assist. That's what they say a lot in Utah. Gobert doesn't score a lot of points, but he gets a lot of screen assists. That's the excuses that you make for someone when they're sorry on offense and can't score. But if he gets to the Nets, that's never going to be expected of him. So maybe that's something that they think of. So there you go. The good, the bad, the ugly, the Brooklyn Nets. Once again, the theme is headache. I'm sure Joe Tsai has a headache. I'm sure Bobby Marks has a headache. I'm sure KD might have a headache dealing with Kyrie. So we'll see. See if they take some aspirin, take my advice, and get out of the whole Kyrie Irving KD business. That's what I would do. But let's see what they actually do. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, subscribe. The game is a game. All right. Thank you for watching this clip. Do me a favor. Push the button. Hit subscribe. Come on, man. Push it.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button.
You heard what she said.
And do what's right. You heard her. Push the button. The game is a game.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, The game is a game. Always.